With great expectations comes serious disappointment. Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 disappointing movies of 2019.
In comics, you would go to a public place where all could see.
For this list, we're looking at movies released in 2019 that fell woefully short of their own potential. To be clear, these movies aren't necessarily the worst of the year. Rather, they're the ones that were highly anticipated, but which failed to meet expectations.
I failed you, I know that, but this isn't you.
Number 10, The Lion King. 2019's The Lion King is by no means a bad film, it's just a mediocre one. And considering the fact that the 1994 original is one of the most moving, timeless, and widely cherished films Disney has ever released, expectations were understandably high. Now, there's no denying that the visual effects are groundbreaking. Jon Favreau and his team did the seemingly impossible by raising the incredibly high bar they'd set with 2016's The Jungle Book. Unfortunately, as this film proves, photorealistic CGI is no substitute for a beating heart.
Simba is dead. That's all she ever has to know.
The voice cast gives it their all, but at the end of the day, it feels hollow.
And so, I ask again, who are you?
Sadly, it's a problem shared by 2019's Aladdin, which also failed to measure up to the original. Number 9. The Goldfinch, a 2.5-hour epic directed by the man behind Brooklyn and starring the likes of Ansel Elgort, Finn Wolfhard, and Sarah Paulson. Oh, how we wish that this one were better. Add in the fact that it's based on the Pulitzer Prize-winning novel of the same name, and we're still scratching our heads wondering what went wrong.
I would have given it back, I swear.
The Goldfinch tells the story of a young boy who loses his mother in a devastating terrorist attack, only to grow a strange attachment to one of the paintings in the museum where the tragedy takes place. Reviews were quick to criticize the film, calling it dull and accusing it of mishandling the much better subject matter. Won't someone think of poor Ansel?
There is a lot of good in the film too, and the film does work, and people who see it enjoy it and are moved by it.
Number 8. The Kitchen. This is a perfect example of how a movie's trailers can be far more successful than the film itself.
Our husbands have 24 months left on their sentences.
Based on the compelling marketing and a great premise, filmmaker Andrea Berloff seemed poised to deliver the next great female-led crime drama in the vein of Widows. And with talents like Melissa McCarthy, Tiffany Haddish, and Elizabeth Moss getting top billing, we had every reason to believe that it would live up to its potential.
Just to be clear, now we run this neighborhood.
The talented leads give it their all, but the recipe of cheesy dialogue, muddled storytelling, and unrealistic character development is all wrong. There's a great film somewhere in here, but as is, The Kitchen feels half-baked. Its talent, not to mention its comic book source material, deserved better.
Claire, put a bullet in his head.
You girls kill me.
Number 7. Rambo: Last Blood. As Creed and Creed 2 proved beyond the shadow of a doubt, there's still room for Sylvester Stallone's most iconic characters on the big screen. It's just a matter of finding the right fit. Whereas Rocky Balboa has aged and matured, Rambo seems just as lost as when we first met him. Except now, rather than a sympathetic vet suffering from the toll of war, Rambo is just an aging killing machine.
All these years I've kept my secrets. But the time has come to face my past.
This could have been a return to Rambo's roots and a thoughtful reflection on his bloody legacy. But the film instead revels in gratuitous carnage, trying to maintain an impossible balance of making Rambo sympathetic while he murders people with the excesses of a slasher villain.
And there's nothing they can do to stop it.
Number 6. Where'd You Go, Bernadette? If you went into this film knowing nothing about it, you might have an enjoyable time.
Family trip to Antarctica!
Ponies are cute and maybe not as much trouble as we thought.
Cate Blanchett can do nothing wrong, and there are a number of fun moments throughout. But considering the source material and the director's filmography, people went into this with very high hopes. The film is based on a novel of the same name, in which the story is told almost exclusively through emails, memos, and other such documents.
You'll never guess what happened. She disappeared. Bernadette. What?
This gives the story a sense of mystery, one that's totally lost due to the film adaptation taking a more straightforward approach to the narrative. And considering the incredible work that Richard Linklater has done with films like Boyhood and his Before trilogy, fans expected something far less conventional. Number 5. Glass. Does anyone feel duped? With the release of Split, it seemed as if filmmaker M. Night Shyamalan was officially back.
Thank you for helping us till now.
It's a great, compelling film boasting incredible performances and a tightly focused narrative, reminiscent of his earlier and best work. So when it was announced that Glass would be a follow-up to both Split and his film Unbreakable, many fans felt that Shyamalan was on track to complete a truly phenomenal trilogy of films.
First name, Mr. Last name, Glass.
What we got, however, felt far more reminiscent of Shyamalan's misfires. Glass is a film made up of big ideas that don't fit together as neatly as the filmmaker might like, and when they do, it's at the expense of the film's pacing, especially the anticlimactic ending.
We don't need him anyway, there are still 10 of us.
Number 4, Gemini Man. This is one of those scripts that's been kicking around Hollywood for decades, seeing numerous directors and stars come and go along the way.
He knew every move of mine before I made it.
With Ang Lee at the helm and the ever-reliable Will Smith playing not one, but 2 leading roles, however, Gemini Man finally seemed poised to make good on its long development.
25 years ago, they made you from me.
The digital de-aging is pretty incredible, and Smith delivers 2 solid performances, further bolstered by Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Benedict Wong, who are both consistently charming and convincing.
Look what we created.
You were the inspiration for all of this.
Unfortunately, the script feels like that kind of sci-fi action film from 20 years ago, complete with major plot holes, cringe-worthy dialogue, and a complete failure to do anything interesting with the big themes it touches upon.
Of all the people in the world to come after me, why would he send you?
Number 3, Dark Phoenix. It's a franchise that spanned nearly 2 full decades and played a major role in defining the comic book movie landscape as we know it today.
If anything goes wrong, I'll turn us around in a heartbeat.
The X-Men weathered their fair share of ups and downs over the years, but when Fox announced its intention to revisit the Phoenix saga, which it had previously fumbled in 2006 with X-Men The Last Stand, it seemed as if the studio was committed to making up for past mistakes. Sadly, Dark Phoenix was deemed by many to be a low note for the franchise.
I told you to stay away.
That's never gonna happen.
The production was a notably troubled one, and not even extensive reshoots could save this fundamentally flawed film from itself. Bad dialogue, questionable character motivations, and an uneven plot ensured that this film was dead on arrival.
You cast me out. Now you come here to kill me?
Number 2, Men in Black International. The original Men in Black trilogy is far from perfect, but the first film is a classic, and the third made for a surprisingly emotional time travel adventure.
You know what the difference is between you and me? I make this look good.
As for the second installment, yeah, it's not great, but it's very watchable in the context of an MIB marathon. When it was announced that the organization was going international and that Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson would be starring in the spin-off, it seemed like a sure thing.
Sorry, he's just so yummy.
Who is he?
H. Only the best agent in the building.
Thor Ragnarok was proof of their chemistry. Unfortunately, chemistry was literally the only thing that the film had going for it. MIB International is a thoroughly uninspired sci-fi adventure that has little to offer in the way of fun and relies way too heavily on its stars.
Looks like the tables have turned. That was an incredible catch.
Before we unveil our #1 most disappointing pick of 2019, here are a few dishonorable mentions.
I am your father.
No, you had a choice between being my father and being Shaft. And you chose.
There is no union. There will be no wedding.
What have you done?
We go home now. Aurora!
Gets a lot, Your Honor.
Is she coming?
She's already here.
What do we do?
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, Hellboy. Mike Mignola's big red demonic hero might not have the same name recognition as some of his fellow comic book characters, but his fan base is an extremely devoted one.
For the record, this wasn't my idea.
People who like Hellboy love Hellboy, and most of those fans wanted a third film from director Guillermo del Toro. This wasn't a reboot that many people were asking for, but the R rating and the casting of David Harbour from Stranger Things was reason enough to give it a shot.
There is no reason for us to be enemies when we can be so much more.
The filmmakers claimed to be sticking close to the source material, which also seemed promising, until people actually saw footage. It had a lot of Hellboy elements, but lacked the style, imagination, and the soul that makes the property so compelling. So close, yet so far.
Why do you fight for those who hate and fear you?
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.